For 20 years, WIPHOLD has been lighting the way for women across South Africa. As we head into the future, WIPHOLD will continue to focus on delivering strong shareholder value and economically empowering women, particularly the many impoverished women, their families and communities in South Africa and the continent. WIPHOLD will continue to drive creative exchange, striking the delicate balance between earning and empowering. We've shone for 20 years. We'll shine for many more.
The company strategy evolves. You always have to look at what next, what is the next phase, what are you going to do? And one of the strategies then we embarked on is what we call WIP International. And WIP International is basically a strategy where we seek to look for investment opportunities, particularly here in the continent, because we feel that the whole world at large, they are clamoring on the African continent.
For us, the whole thing of being in financial services sector is to change these conversations in these financial services sector boardrooms and try to translate what we know and what we grew up into a bankable thing. The second sector that we thought that we can't not be present is the infrastructure space. And so our first salvo there is building the cement plant in Limpopo.
And once we complete our plant in Limpopo, we will be looking at replicating many of those cement plants just in the continent.
We have a very strong partner, Zhidong Group. They are the second biggest cement group in China. They are the fourth largest cement group in the world. And so we don't have a lightweight in terms of partnership. They are also the cement plant constructors, builders. And so even the EPC contract is with them. It's an important point to this, because largely the cement plant companies do not build cement plants. They produce cement. And in this case, our partner builds and produces cement. It's a major point of advantage. And that is why we have this guts to do what we think we can do.
Coal and mining business operations are very, very important, because these are the businesses that we are driving going forward, because also these are the businesses where we will be very, very hands-on and operational.
And the main reason for this coal operation is we want an operation in coal that is operated by women. And so Sasol is hand-holding us in this plan, and because it will take some bit of time to get it right. The most important thing, though, it's a long route, because you can't just rock up and say you have to empower women. We have to understand that sector. Hence, being in operational in these three sectors, we've chosen them deliberately because we have decided that that is who dictates what's going to happen in South Africa.
All of these things that we talk about, we cannot achieve them sitting here in Houghton in our offices. We may look glamorous in these offices, but the work is out there. We have to go out there, mix and mingle with the people, with the rural people out there, or in those mines that we want to see being operational, and do it.
The business focus for the future is clear. WIPHOLD will continue to prosper in the financial services, resources, and infrastructure sectors. It will continue to grow a portfolio of strategic investments in high-performing assets such as the Distal Group, as well as to identify new opportunities on the continent and beyond. Social change continues to be at the core of WIPHOLD's business. In 20 years' time, we must be able to say that we did work that mattered. We shifted the goalposts for women empowerment. We succeeded, and we are proud. This is the motivation behind two initiatives that WIPHOLD has chosen to focus on over the next decade.
The vision and the objective is that our people must not go hungry. To the extent that it is possible, we should plow and plant and harvest these fields, and people must have access to food. Any surpluses they must be able to sell and make money for themselves. Those are the key things for us.
We are trying to do two things with agriculture and food security. To answer the poverty thing, but to also convert this prized asset, which is communal land, that nobody recognizes.
We actually have two pilot projects, one bigger one in Tsentani, and one on a small scale also a pilot one in Lesotho.
So we are going to look at the issue of equipment. Of course, we're going to be advancing money into these projects with the intention to get it back with some interest. That is what we call now Agriculture Fund. It will do what an agriculture fund does, but with the right attitude of helping an affordable kind of thing. And then the second part of it is going to be this of being strongly in the value chain of agriculture. We have to be open about the fact that the agriculture industry is also notorious for excluding people. Very notorious for excluding people. And so one of our agendas really for getting into agriculture, just like in financial services sector, is to go and disrupt that party.
WIPHOLD has earned a reputation as a can-do business, and it's with this approach that its business model for small-scale agriculture will yield commercial returns at two levels, for investors and for participating communities and farmers. The Agri-initiative will focus primarily but not exclusively on communally owned land, which would continue to be owned by the community. The business model will be developed over a period of 2 years using 4 pilot projects: maize production in Tsentane and projects in other Imbizo sites such as Akonhoek and Bochum. The intention is to forge partnerships with the likes of the Masisizane Fund, Nedbank and SASPO. This initiative will demonstrate how hardcore business can bring about significant social change. WIPHOLD's second initiative is to shine in education, reigniting the legacy of one of our continent's greatest intellectuals, Dio Soka.
In 2004, we established the Women Development Fund as a company, mainly to assist young women. What we find out is that there's a problem with the foundation at high school.
If you are going to produce high quality maths students, you are going to have a high quality maths teacher who is present 24 hours a day.
Looking to communities where they have established relationships, WIPHOLD has chosen 2 schools in Tsentane in the Eastern Cape and Morocco High School in the Free State as starting points.
It was easier for us to choose the areas where we are better known and we know the chiefs, because in rural areas there's very little that you can achieve if you don't work through processes and the support of the chiefs.
Dio Soka becomes important for us because he's one of these first African intellectuals. And where the school is coming from his mission, established in 1945. It is called Maboboti High School in Tutuga, in Tsentane. So our vision is simple really. We want universities, when they decide and think of recruiting top students for engineering, maths and science and accounting and all that, those two schools must be in their diaries in the same way they go to Michael House and Bishops and St. Anne's and Rodin and St. Stephen's and St. John's. Naively or maybe simplistically, we think that it's all going to start and end with the teachers. And so a group like Kagiso Trust, we would look at how we can work with them and to join them in what looks like a very successful education program.
In 5-10 years' time, we would like to look back and say, having started with one pilot project, we now have probably 3 or 5 pilot projects. Obviously, it's going to take a lot of resources, but we believe that we can go out and mobilize funding through partnership with other institutional companies. You know, the coalition of good thinking South African companies that have their heart and mind and soul entrenched in this country.
Of course, much later, we also want to make sure that when you do look at the captains of industry as well, you must have 1 or 2 big ones that come from Maboboti High School.
As women of this country, let's have a conversation. Let's get into a dialogue. What is it that we can do to improve our food security? What is it that we can do to make sure that we improve such that the learners can go to school in better environment and improve the status of the results? It's a conversation that every woman must be part of.